So the Premier League fixtures have come to a conclusion for game week 5, and are Arsenal bottling it already? Welcome to the Footy Network. Afternoon guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the review of the weekend results in the Premier League, where there's been some interesting scenarios created. Arsenal bottling it late on against Manchester City, as Wolves are just, what are they doing at the bottom of the table with that PE teacher, and plenty of other results that we'll digest and talk to you about the highlights and what's going on with these refereeing decisions as well. We'll get into all of that. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the Footy Network if you are new, and if you have Netflix, don't forget to go and get yourself Surfshark, especially if you're outside of the USA, because the USA gets all the box sets before we do. But if you use Surfshark with code FFTV, you will get yourself an extra 4 months free and unlock all those Netflix series by simply putting your location to the USA. So scan the QR code or hit on the link that's pinned in the comments. Okay, let's get into this video and let's kick it off with the Man City Arsenal game. Now, there was controversy surrounding that with the sending off of Trossard because Arsenal don't learn their lessons. They had it with Declan Rice a week or so before that. And they've done it again. Trossard kicking the ball away, getting a second booking, and then giving his marching orders. Now, in some ways, I understand Arsenal's frustrations because it happened earlier on with a Man City player. I think it was Daku down the wing, he kicked it away and wasn't booked. So the Arsenal fans are asking for, where's the consistency? And I do agree with them to a certain extent. You either implement the rules fully or you don't implement them at all. But the time of common sense has gone from refereeing. It just seems like every single week we're coming out with controversies. On Sunday alone, we saw the one at Arsenal. We saw Morgan Gibbs-White getting sent off for Forest in controversial circumstances as well. And all this is because we don't have good enough referees. And I think if we're going to call ourselves the best league in the world, then we damn well better get the best refs in the world. You look back to the World Cup and you see how, and the Euros last summer, and you see how smoothly they went with very limited incidents being discussed. And that's because they're using the correct technology for a start, with semi-automated offsides, etc. And they have a better refereeing standard. So the Premier League needs to sort it out. But that aside, Arteta then goes into this massive low block formation and for 45 minutes holds out strong against Man City. And then in the 97th, 98th minute, whatever it was, even 99th it might have been, John Stones puts it in and Man City celebrate a 2-2 draw. And in a way, you kind of wanted to see Arsenal hold on just to make this Premier League a little more interesting. Because if Man City start to run away with it again, we're going to end up with a Farmers League. If they go and do the 5th one this season, it's a Farmers League as far as I'm concerned. Yes, the standards and the footballers are better than some of the other leagues that get labelled a Farmers League. But can we really call out and say this league is more competitive when this will be 5 in a row for Manchester City? Let's hope the 1-1-5 comes back to bite them in the ass. So that was the battle at the top. And then we saw a couple of battles at the bottom where Leicester and Everton met at the King Power, and they both look atrocious, I have to say. I watched the game and it was just the standard of football was utterly shocking. Leicester got lucky to get back in with a terrible corner, poorly defended by Everton. And I don't think a draw helps either team. They're both now sitting, Leicester are 15th in the league with 3 points, and Everton have finally got off the mark with 1 point and move off bottom and up to 19th. And they are replaced by Wolverhampton Wanderers, who yet again have bottled it against Aston Villa this time, having had a 1-0 lead. Late on, they decide to go and concede not 1, not 2, but 3 goals to blow it and end up bottom of the league. Is Gary O'Neill's time up at Wolves? Has he run his course? As far as I'm concerned, I've always thought he's a bit of a PE teacher. And I think Wolves need to get rid if they're going to turn this boat around. Because as things are going, I cannot see where their next win comes from. Outside of Cunha, they seem to be really struggling. But I think it's a mentality block they have. They need to get over the finish line, get their first W down, because not only are they not winning games, but then they're going and throwing the leads and ending up losing games, a bit like we've seen with Everton and Sean Dyche over the last couple of weeks. So we then saw more late drama yet again in the Southampton match, as Southampton were this close to registering their first win, and then they went and blew it against Ipswich in the 95th minute. Yes, it took a deflection and what have you, and Saints' hearts were broken, but there is definitely a gap now developing between, I would say, the bottom 6 or so, unless you want to include West Ham. I would say from Leicester down. Leicester, Palace, Ipswich, Southampton, Everton and Wolves all seem to be struggling. None of those teams have picked up their first win yet. Leicester and Ipswich have been able, Ipswich and Palace have had a couple of draws and are on 3 points. The rest are all on 1. Is this gap going to get a bit bigger? Or can you guys see one of these teams maybe going on a little run and pulling themselves out of it? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if we have a quick look at the so-called Big Six teams, we saw Liverpool getting a win after their shock defeat to Nottingham Forest last week, putting 3 past Bournemouth, and Forest still living rent-free in Arne Slot's mind. And then Manchester United against struggling Crystal Palace couldn't get over the line and end up drawing 0-0 with them. They had their chances in the first half, but they seemed to run out of ideas come the second half, and Glasner gets Palace up to about 16th in the table. And then in the battle of the undefeated teams, as Forest went to Brighton, we saw controversy, we saw goals, and we saw both teams walking away with their undefeated run still intact, as Forest and Brighton are now sitting 7th and 8th respectively in the table. So what have we learned from this weekend? Well, we've learned that probably with Man City not losing to Arsenal, they probably still will go on and win this title, unless, of course, the 115 comes back to haunt them. We've also seen Chelsea starting to make a quiet move up the table, now up to 5th in the league. And everyone who wrote Villa off saying they wouldn't be able to handle European football and the Premier League at the same time are people now having a double take, as Villa sit comfortably and quietly in 3rd in the league. This Premier League is starting to get interesting, but in my opinion, I see it dividing over the next couple of weeks, as you see potentially 14 teams pulling away from the bottom 6. And then between those 14 teams, other divisions as well, with the likes of Manchester City probably pulling away early doors as league leaders. And then a little group underneath, and then maybe a European chasing group to a, mid-table comfortable finish. So there's a lot to unpack coming up over the next few weeks. We'll keep you posted on everything that's going on in the Premier League. Get your thoughts in down below. How did your club fare this weekend? And are you happy with the result your club got? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the Footy Network, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great week.